Hey everybody, welcome to Show It Live here on showiteer.com. Show It Live is a weekly webcast show that features photographers and other creatives helping each other out here in this crazy world of small business. So I have a special guest, I have a couple special guests here today. Liz couldn't make it today, but we have birthday boy and Show It CEO Todd Watson on the show.
Hey, thank you, Field. It's fun to be on. It feels like it's been a while since I've been on Show It Live.
It has been.
I'm hoping to be on a few more times here as you know, we got some things coming down the pipe.
I think we're going to drag you on next week.
Yeah, so maybe this is just a precursor.
Yeah.
See how...
Well, and it's your birthday, so happy birthday.
Hey, thank you.
It's
so Liz, great. I finally got into my 30s. So
you finally got into your 30s. Double digits. You're double digits. It's so fun.
Ish. Something like that.
So good. So a couple fun things are happening today, and some reasons that you've joined us.
Yeah.
Not just because it's your birthday, but a great website launched today. It's a Show It 5 site. So Show It 5 is the next version of Show It. It's amazing. It's great. There's all sorts of really cool features. And a site today was launched by Jasmine Starr.
Yeah, she just launched a new thing called The Path to Profitability.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, here it is. Here's the site. So we can all see it right here. So it's actually a workshop that she's doing in one of your favorite cities, Dallas, and then in LA. And so she put, I think, Promise Tangiman over at Go Live, designed this site, and they launched it today. And it's pretty exciting to see a few of the features that are coming in Show It 5, the different scaling of the responsive views. And so it's fun to get a chance to see them take advantage of that. If you click over here on the facts section, you can see that that she implemented some stuff with like the way that this Q&A happens. When you click on a link, it actually pops up into a view, and as you can design each of these views, it's not just fixed text. You can do whatever you want with that. I think it's fun that with what she did with that, and just a lot of other fun features with the way that site works. And it's exciting to see all the work that's gone into Show It 5 starting to like launch sites. Field, you've been right in the middle of that, working with people and getting these first sites launched, and it's just fun to see the creativity that came with this, just the offsetting boxes and the way they use the design and the text over images. I think that's some of the fun stuff where you're not forced to be inside of a box or forced to be inside of a certain template. That Promise was able to take this and do some kind of fun and funky things with the way that she did that. So.
Yeah, and it has a couple of my favorite features, the different views. We're calling those canvas views, and it's one of my favorite features in Show It 5. Already, the people who are in early are using those in all sorts of creative ways through different galleries, through about sections, their contact forms. I mean, there's just all sorts of crazy things that people are doing with it. So it was neat to see the way that she did that with the contact and the frequently asked questions and all of that. So congrats, Jasmine and Promise, on launching a Show It 5 site.
Yes.
The first of many.
Oh, yes.
They're first of many.
Yeah, there's so many coming along. And we're excited. We can't wait to even do a lot more demos in person at an event coming up.
Yeah. So
people launch.
In March, there's this event called WPPI, which used to stand for World Ping Pong Invitational.
Yeah.
No longer. It's Wedding and Portrait Photographers. It's a twofer. But at WPPI, we're going to be doing some live in-person demos for people of Show It 5, and then we also
getting people on ramp,
get
them their sites launched. Yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, let's get it done. So that's some exciting news there for the first time. People hearing, we're going to be launching some sites at Show It 5, or at WPPI with Show It 5. Also at WPPI is the third annual Show It Here dinner at the Wicked Spoon there in the Cosmopolitan. Really exciting event.
Oh man, yeah. This is like one of my favorite times when we have, what is it, like 100 and something people?
Yeah, 120 I think
all together
we packed
in the
there.
room. People that we love. So many hugs. And just a good time together. So if you are thinking about going to Vegas or whatever, make sure that Sunday is the day you set aside, because that's the day to get lots of Show It Here hugs.
Yeah, Sunday night, I think March 6th. And you can find that event on Show It's Facebook page. There's an event on there, and you can link out to get your tickets. You get a pretty sweet discount. For
an all-you-can-eat buffet. That's amazing.
Oh, man. It is really good. It's the best buffet in Vegas. Which is saying something, because there's quite a few buffets in Vegas.
Yeah, and we've sold out every year on this. So don't wait to get your tickets, because unfortunately the room only holds a certain number of people.
Yeah.
And we can't get any more than that. So once those sell out, that's the crew that's going to be there. So don't wait on that. That's for sure. So
And then some other fun things we like to do here at Showit is we like to feature some of our Showiteers. And this week's featured Showiteers are Lauren and Tim. Lauren and Tim, you can check out their site here. It's laurenfairphotography.com. They have a beautiful site, and they're actually located out in Pennsylvania, I believe, in beautiful Pennsylvania, and they have some really cool images up here. I love their site. I love their about section. I'm a big fan of husband-wife photography teams, so congrats to Lauren and Tim. They're beautiful site, great Showiteers, featured Showiteers of the week. Awesome. So, and there should be an article on showiteer.com as well for them. So really awesome. Congrats, guys. Happy to do that with you.
Yeah. Now, next week
it's
gonna be a fun week. We got a great show coming at you with talking about Showit 5 and WordPress, because I know that's been a big question. And we got some exciting things to show you guys with that. If you've ever tried to customize a WordPress blog and thought, oh my gosh, what is going on here with CSS and codes and whatever, like...
I tried to change the size of my logo. I thought it'd be so easy. I'm like, oh yeah, and I have a great theme on there, Divi. I was like, oh, it's supposed to be so customizable. It took me 45 minutes to change the size of my logo.
We are excited to show you some great things with how your WordPress and Showit are going to come together into a wonderful thing. So next week, mark down your calendars for that fun show. Now, we have a special guest today to talk a little bit about writing. Field is actually going to take over with this interview. I actually have to step out. Got some things going on today.
It's your birthday. We're coming up on birthday events are happening for Todd.
And sadly, Liz has a daughter that's under the weather, so she's not joining us today. But she's here on chat, so
she'll man the chats.
Lots of that stuff. And Field is going to take over with our special guest here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Allie?
Yeah, so Allie Hormann is a wonderful photographer from the Pacific Northwest up in Seattle. So we kind of have, we butt heads every couple Sundays a week. But that's more her husband. Her husband is a Seahawks fan. But yeah, she's a wonderful photographer from up in the Seattle area. JT actually has her site pulled up here. It is a beautiful site, and she's been doing this for a while, and she was at one of our favorite events of this year, which was Showit United.
Showit United.
So Todd, thanks for joining us. Go enjoy those birthday events, and without further ado, Allie, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Field.
How are you doing today?
Doing pretty well.
It's
rainy.
It's rainy here in Arizona. It's sunny, like it is
all the time.
340 days a year.
Must be rough.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. So you're joining us. This is an important topic. So we're going over 5 steps to becoming a better writer.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
Why does being a better writer matter for your business?
Because if you're going to tell an amazing story with your photos, but your words are not matching your photos, your clients are going to know that. And if we focus so much on branding and keeping us focused on our ideal clients, but we're telling stories that are mediocre, or the last thing you want is your client to feel like their story is mediocre because you're not using the right language.
Yeah, for sure. So. And this isn't being a photographer and telling stories isn't your first rodeo with storytelling. So tell me a little bit about your background.
So I majored in communication and political science at the University of North Dakota, and worked for the newspaper in Grand Forks, North Dakota, which is Grand Forks Herald. So I did my practicum through there, and then I went on to be a journalist. And the news was not necessarily fun to tell.
What?
But I know.
So surprising.
But it was a great environment for me to learn how to tell stories well, how to tell them succinctly, how to really up my game as far as being able to reach a wide audience immediately, and not try and focus only on exactly what happened, but how to tell the story
for sure
completely.
For sure. Well, yeah, and so you were saying that on the news station, when they'd come with those kind of feel-good stories, those, hey, this is happy, this is exciting, they'd be like, "Oh, okay, give it to Allie," right? Like, this is it. It's a happy time, so Allie should get this article. And Allie actually froze for a little bit there, but yeah, she went to photojournalism school, or she went to school up in North Dakota, and so she's actually she's from my neck of the woods, up in northern central America. And we're going to try and get her back on here in just a moment. But otherwise, while you're in chat, over here on the left side of me, or your right, you will see the chat in there. Liz is actually in the chat helping out today, staying from home. So if you guys have questions of Allie while we get her back on the line, please feel free to ask those questions, and we'll get to them as quickly as possible on the show. Sit tight for just a moment. But, that's actually a good point. So if you are, as we're getting into these topics of being a better writer, if you are struggling with blogging, you can actually go to showat5.com, and you can RSVP for more information on Show at 5, which we talked about a little bit here, and you'll get a free 25-page digital blogging guide. The blogging guide is full of great content from people like Jasmine Starr, Justin and Mary, Carrie Swales, just some awesome people, some really awesome writers and super awesome bloggers. So definitely go to showat5.com and check that out. Awesome. She's back. Sorry. It happens. No worries at all. So okay. I was saying while you were working there, when people would come or when there would be like a good feel good story, they'd say, "Oh, take that to Allie. She's all about the feel good stories."
Yeah. And so it was fun to tell good feel good stories, and so as a photographer, being able to tell good love stories with photos and with words was a really fun interaction of those two things.
Yeah, it kind of combined both worlds for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So let's go through the steps, because you gave us five like really good steps to go through, like to help people become better writers. And the first one's really interesting to me. It's to read better writers.
Absolutely.
So are we just talking about like people who are better writers than us currently, or Dr. Seuss was a great writer, so I'll read me some Dr. Seuss?
Hey, you know what? I read Dr. Seuss all the time, and he is great at describing things in ways you would have never thought.
For sure.
So I am all for it.
Yeah.
But I would definitely say writers that are better than you, but writers that consistently come up as good storytellers for the sake of story, and not necessarily for the sake of driving a plot line or driving a really hard, intense scene or something like that, but more writers that are really good at bringing you into the community that they are writing about. Mm-hmm. So my very favorite storyteller of all time is Wendell Berry. Okay. He's a guy who is a farmer in Kentucky, but he also went to Stanford with J.D. Salinger and John Steinbeck and Jack Kerouac, and he just writes story for the sake of story. And if you like it, it's amazing. He's also a really great poet. I highly recommend finding a great poet to read. Mary Oliver, I have one of her books right here. It's New and Selected Poems. If you've ever seen the very Pinteresty quote, "What are you going to do with your one wild and precious life?" Mm-hmm. That's Mary Oliver. But the more that you can take in good writing, that's the only way that you're going to be able to put it out well.
Yeah.
So that was the key. When we were journalists, we had to read better journalists. And when you're telling a story, you have to read better storytellers.
For sure. And that's just like in photography as well. Or I see that Claire is on chat and she's a florist. Like you don't study people who are just starting out, or you don't study people who maybe have a different niche than you. You study the people that you look up to and that you admire. Absolutely. And that you love their work. So same goes for writing. That's good to know. It's good to know. So I will study. What was it? What was Charles the Snoopy Peanuts? Who drew it?
Charles Schultz.
Charles Schultz. There you go.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. He's a brilliant writer.
What's funny is actually one of my very favorite moments in all of literature happens at the end of the original Winnie the Pooh.
Oh yeah.
Is the description between Christopher Robin leaving his best friend is this most remarkable storytelling, and it's meant for children. And it was just because A.A. Milne was a really good storyteller.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that's awesome. So reading better writers.
Yes.
That's step one.
Yes.
And then this one becomes really important. So asking better questions. Mm-hmm. So how does asking better questions contribute to you becoming a better writer?
It has to do with being prepared for the story you want to tell. And if you want to just ask simple, yes or no questions, you're not going to get a story out of that. You're going to get a Twitter interview. And if your whole photography is around 140 characters, then that's fine. But if you're hoping to tell more than that, part of being a journalist is you had to be prepared with the questions that you wanted to ask, and they had to be bigger than the little yes, no, easy questions. Yeah. And so we call that the DOS method. Okay. And it has nothing to do with operating systems.
I was going to say, I know DOS.
Yeah.
Not very well, but I know of DOS.
You're a step ahead of me. The DOS stands for direct, open-ended, and short.
Nice.
And so it has to do with knowing who you're asking the questions to. That's about being direct. Because if you haven't prepared to meet your client or, go on their engagement session, then, what do they say? If you fail to prepare, you prepare to fail.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's the same sort of concept that if, if you haven't gone on Facebook and researched your client at all, it's not stalking.
It's nice that you call it research, because we just call that stalking.
Yeah.
Like you get that inquiry, you're like, well, let's see who you are, Not that we don't do that. We do that all the time.
Yeah, me neither.
All the time.
And I'm really glad my face didn't freeze on that for me. So you have to know who you're asking the question to. So that's the direct part. The open-ended, it has to do with not filling the space with talking. Sometimes when you're meeting new people, it's easy to just, fill the space and ask a question that goes on forever and ever and ever because they're not answering. But leaving the option for a little bit of silence often brings out the comfortability in the person that's less talkative. So often that's the groom. Like if I'm meeting with a bride and a groom at the same time, and the groom's kind of like, and you have questions ahead of time that you've thought of, that you've prepared, that you're following up on previous questions, and you're giving him the chance to really think about their story. Yeah. Or her. I mean, you could have a less talkative bride too. You're giving them the chance to think about their story so that when they're telling it to you, it's really personal. And then keep your questions short. If you're asking a question that has 7 clauses in it and it goes on and on and on, and then you're like, okay, so start from the beginning of my question and answer through the end, it's rough. Yeah. So keep it short.
So do you have like a set group of questions that you do ask the groom? Like I always ask the groom, are you going to wear any cool socks? Like are there things, because I'm thinking like trying to figure out who they are and what they're interested in, who are you groomsmen? Have you almost killed any of them? Accidentally. Yeah, these are things that come up in the guy's life. Yeah.
Most of the questions that I ask the groom are about the bride. And I ask him questions about not just how they met, but, what did he tell his friends after he met her? That's because sometimes the bride doesn't even know those things. And what is something that surprised you, 2 or 3 months into your relationship that you weren't expecting, but was a pleasant surprise? Make sure that's a pleasant surprise. Yeah. Not, but
like, it could get awkward.
Yeah, it could. It totally could. And I want to make sure that he knows that I value his side of the story. And because our industry is very bride centric, and I want to make sure that he knows that he is obviously a valuable part of the story that I want to tell with the photos and my words.
For sure. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And really good point, because this is kind of a bride heavy industry. So yeah, it's nice that the guys are getting a little love. Yeah, so thank you for your part in that.
And Jeff.
So, and then your next step 3 becomes a big one, and it's a problem on the internet.
Yes.
I'm just throwing this out there. People need to up their grammar game.
Yes.
Yeah. So a big part of becoming a better writer is by becoming better at grammar.
Yes. And you know what? It's funny. My husband actually made a really great analogy when I was putting these tips together. And that is that you can think of grammar sort of like the 10 Commandments.
Sure.
Not that it's just a set of rules, because there are rules, but it's really about having the freedom to do good things and do them well, and not have people only focus on the fact that you broke the rule.
Yeah.
You know? And so it's more about making sure that the picture you're putting out is polished, that it's smart, that it doesn't make you feel less than. And so nothing turns people off more than grammar mistakes when they're reading through something. And so I actually made a quick sheet that I think that JT linked on the page, that's got a whole bunch of little things that you need to know about just writing journalistically and writing well. Things that people don't often think of, like numbers, the use of numbers. If it's numbers 1 through 10, you have to spell it out.
Yep.
And if it's greater than 11 or 11 or greater, you can use the numerals. But that was one thing I had, I posted in the Show It United group and asked people to give me their blogs so I could read through. And that was something that I saw come up again and again, was like that, you know, as a journalist, I'm like, but you know, when you're just writing, you just.
So what about in a title? Because we may or may not have titled this show 5 Steps to Better Writing. And
in the title, it's fine.
Bam.
Yep, you did a good
job, JT.
Yep, because of headlines and different rules with that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's
so,
cool.
Yeah.
So and any advice for people? So when I write, I actually write the same as how I speak.
Yes.
So I put in ellipses, I put in 3 exclamation points, because I'm a fairly animated fellow. So where do the grammar rules meet personality?
That's a phenomenal question. And the whole point of having great grammar is not to diminish your voice, because part of this is not about changing your voice or anything like that. Obviously, I want you to write the way that you would communicate to your clients anyway. But where it meets is in the colloquialisms and the, best day ever kind of things. When you're using that as your descriptors again and again and again and again, it becomes not just repetitive, it becomes like those words don't really matter.
Sure.
If everything is amazing with 9 exclamation points, then really was it?
Yeah.
Was it really amazing, or was it you're just excited about it? Which you can get excited about it, but there's a less is more principle in this. You know, part of upping your grammar game is not about like taking out your SAT prep words and trying to sound like you're Tolstoy or Dostoevsky, but it's about sounding like yourself, as polished as you want people to believe that you are. And I would say that if you have a bride who's a New York Times kind of bride, you're never going to write for the New York Times if you're writing Us Weekly stories.
Yeah.
So
that's a good call. I like that. I like that analogy.
Thanks.
Yeah. It's nice. It's nice.
And with that upping the grammar game, there's a grammar sheet, and there's also an adjective quick sheet. So I pulled out a bunch of words that I saw in the blogs that I was reading through, which, by the way, the Show It to Your Family is full of so many amazing photographers and writers and friends and people who were emailing and just asking questions, and I love them. And there's words that come up over and over again. And so I put together a synonym quick sheet. so that you can take a look at the words that you're using over and over and find some alternatives. But also just keep thesaurus.com open.
It's a favorite tab.
Yeah, oh man. Yeah, I have it open all the time. I'm a mom of 2 little kids. I can't remember what's the best, synonym for I can't even think of a word.
You can't even think of one, yeah. What is the greatest synonym for synonym? That's what we need right now. So after that, after you've upped your grammar game,
yes,
and you've thrown in some new adjectives, so I can't say that everything is awesome, even though it is, and everything's cool when you're part of a team.
Yes,
you can't
sing.
Yeah, I can all day long. I mean, not well, but everybody has the ability, so I do. But so after you've upped your grammar game and your adjective game, you have step 4, which is probably my least favorite. I'm just gonna let you know right now. So step 4 is all about the editing.
Edit.
Yeah.
Yes. So when I wrote for a newspaper, before my article would ever hit the papers themselves, it would go through anywhere between 3 and 5 editors. And so, there's my desk editor who assigned it to me. There's the assigning editor who assigned it to them. There's, depending on the breadth of the article, there's the managing editor to see if it's something that's appropriate for the paper and the spin they want to put on it. There's a copy editor that goes through it for all the grammar mistakes, all of the length, all of the trimming it down. So that was really nice because I could just send something off and not worry about there being, grammatical errors in it or whatnot. But since very few of us have a team of 5 editors that sit around and read our stuff, I would highly recommend making sure that you're typing out your blog posts, your about section, even your Facebook comments and your Instagram comments. Type them out in Microsoft Word or Google Docs or something like that first, because it gives you the nice little green squiggly lines and the red squiggly lines, and it's like, this is not a correct word. This is not the word you're supposed to use here. And making sure that you're self-editing that way. And especially this is really hard on like Instagram, because even though Instagram catches some words, autocorrect catches some words, autocorrect can also throw you for a loop on what you're trying to communicate to your clients. And then the next best thing to do is walk away, because when you write something and then you read it again, your brain automatically knows what you wrote. So it's going to not see the fact that you use the word form instead of from.
This happens all the time. We're like, I read it 35 times. And then I send it to somebody and they're like, hey, you spelled this wrong. And it's like, no, I didn't. Yes, I did.
Or that's the wrong it's for that.
Yeah.
Or things like that. So
it's the wrong it's.
It's the wrong it's. So walk away. Let yourself think about something else. And I know that's really hard when you have a post that either needs to get out or you really are excited about and you want to get it out to everyone. But it's worth, walking away for half an hour, thinking about it, and then reading it on a different screen than the one you wrote at.
Good tip.
It's even if it's as little as the difference between your laptop screen and your desktop or your iPhone screen. It's just a good way to edit through that.
That's awesome.
And if you are someone who listens to like Carrie Swales and you write all of your blog posts ahead of time because she does things like that, and that's impressive. You can super impressive. You can actually hire people online on like guru.com and you can hire someone for $30 to, edit through your stuff.
Nice.
And
Huh, I didn't know. See, that's good because that is my least favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like to write. I like all of that, but I don't want to read what I wrote. Is that weird? Is that weird?
No, not at all.
Because then I start to hate what I wrote. Yeah, but when I write it, I'm like, oh, this feels good. This is how I want to say it. And then, then I spend the next 20 minutes agonizing over the use of it's.
And the nice thing, being part of a team is you can always ask Carrie to look through it.
Oh, sure.
And it's just a separate set of eyes. My husband works with me sometimes, and when he was in grad school, I edited all of his papers just for a sec,
Yeah.
Be a team.
Be a team. Well, and that's what's great about being here at Show It, is we have some other really good writers here and editors. So I do get to take advantage of that whenever I write something up. So it's pretty sweet. Yeah. Not gonna lie. Absolutely. So, and then number 5, the most important tip.
Yes.
Es muy importante.
Yes.
Which is German for pretty important.
Your German is different.
It's a little different. But number 5 is just start writing. Just do it. It's like that Shia LaBeouf video. Just do it. That one.
Yeah, I didn't actually watch that one because I would feel like I would just be yelled at the whole time.
You are.
I know, and I'm from Minnesota. We don't do yelling.
No
yelling. We don't do yelling.
Yeah.
The hardest part of it is, you convince yourself that once you get this down, or once you get a good enough post, or once you get a good enough story, it's just then you'll start writing. And you have to just start. And you don't have to post everything you write. For heaven's sakes, half my blog, it says drafts next to it. And you can write in a journal. I would like to think of myself as a journaler, but I'm not. I own a lot of journals because I keep thinking I'm going to be a better journaler.
And they have like the first 10, 15 pages written in them?
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah, I don't know what that's like.
No, I'm sure no one else does. But my favorite way to just start writing is to write letters. And because everyone loves getting letters in the mail, writing love letters to the people that you love is an awesome way to practice telling love stories. And also it makes someone else feel good. So that's pleasant.
Ish, because like Carrie's love language is not words of affirmation.
Fair enough.
So like I will write these out and I'll put them on the internet just because, I don't know why. I just feel like that's easier than writing a letter, right? And then she'll be like, oh yeah, that's nice. I was like, what? Like heart and soul. And she's like, no, it's like, but if I spend 10 minutes with her, yeah, she's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and maybe, but maybe one of your kids,
for sure.
Their love language is words of affirmation. And so I think that being able to just start and not feel like you have to finish, that you have to publish everything that you write, that's super important because it's, we don't live in a society that says, oh, you can just start something and you don't have to finish it. It's totally fine. But if you don't start writing, you're just going to be sitting there with a blog with like 4 pictures on it that says like best day ever. And maybe it totally was the best day ever. But I know that everyone has a bigger story to tell. And I totally believe that anyone can really launch their ability to write better stories if they just start.
For sure. Well, and we had a really good question. Maybe you could help answer this. It was from Jennifer. She said she'd love. So she's a child photographer, and she would love some tips for questions to ask moms to write better blogs for their babies.
Oh, that's a really great question.
That is a good question.
And now I'm on the spot.
Yep.
But I would say asking moms questions about how did they feel when they first got pregnant. How I know that I'm a mom of 2 little boys, and when I think about back when I found out that I was pregnant with them, the whole chaos that goes on, but it was so surrounded with love that I would love to tell that story. But also asking questions about what was surprising, what is hard but beautiful. All of parenting is hard and beautiful, but asking questions that is more than just what was your labor story like, and is he a good sleeper, and do you love him? Of course, it's my baby. Well, like and love are 2 different things.
There you go. Nail on the head.
But asking questions about what it feels like to be in a family, especially if it's a first time parent, or, if there's more kids, how are the kids bringing the new baby into the family, asking for cute things that kids have said. When my son was 2 and our son Jude was born, he's like, Mom, thanks for my very own baby. And so things like that, super cute.
Yeah.
But
yeah. May not understand how it works, but you're welcome, right? I mean,
but you're welcome, and you can change his diapers and get up with him.
This one's yours.
Yep. I'm gonna go to bed.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, I heard rumors. Yeah. So there were 5 tips.
Yes.
I heard rumors of a ninja tip.
Bonus ninja tip.
Bonus ninja tip.
Yes.
So what is this bonus? I know nothing about this one.
Ooh. The bonus ninja tip is you have to take better notes.
Oh, okay.
And my best... Oh, hey, look, there's a slide.
Yeah.
Okay.
We do these things.
Yeah. So always carry a pen and a notebook with you wherever you go. Just a little one. And honestly, when I'm shoveling food in my face at a wedding, like really fast, I'm also scribbling notes down. I'm like ambidextrous, shoveling food, scribbling notes.
You learn to eat with your left hand?
Pretty much. Yeah. Or I just eat all the finger food. Like I go to the kids' table and just take it all.
That is definitely fair enough. Yeah.
But also use the voice recorder on your phone. I had a bride who, she saw her dad for the first time and they were all hugging and loving. It was so great. And then her dad said to her, how do you feel? And Christy, my bride's name is Christy, she said, I just have all these butterflies. And he says to her, I had butterflies on my wedding day too, but your mom told me I didn't have to make them go away. I just had to make them all fly in the same direction.
Oh, how sweet is that?
So sweet. But I also know myself well enough to know that I would forget that. So while they were having their little moment and I knew that I had captured it well enough on my camera, I straight pull out my phone, pull up the voice recorder. I'm like, make the butterflies all fly in the same direction. And then I save it because those are things that you have to remember. You're going to forget them. And especially if you're not blogging right away. If you're someone who's, waits to blog until the photos are done, or you even have a couple things on deck and you're waiting for a couple weeks out. If you're not blogging right away, then it's hard to remember all of the pieces of the day. And so send yourself text messages, just write constantly, just the littlest things. And that's going to make your story infinitely better. Oh, take context photos to remind yourself. Like if you are,
that's a goodie.
If something special happened in that one spot, just snap a couple photos around it. And when you're editing through them in Lightroom or whatever you use to edit, you're looking like, well, why do I have this picture of this cactus and this shoe? And then you can remember, that her shoe fell off and it was very Cinderella-like or something.
So speaking of cactus, you were down here for United.
Yes.
Another awesome photographer who is down here from United has a question. So Emily Rose Duncan asked,
hey, Emily. In Brooks, Alberta.
I know, right? She's Canadian. We love her. Any thoughts on writing for sports photography posts? Like types of questions that you can ask. How would you go about it without sounding the same? I think is the.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think especially especially with sports, getting in on the team dynamic from more than just the coach's perspective or the captain's perspective, talk to the fans. If you're shooting, so Emily Rose lives in Brooks, Alberta, which is on Highway 1, like in the middle of nowhere. And I know this because I used to live in Strathmore, just to let you know, Emily, hi. And there's a lot of traveling teams that have to go long distances to even play a town that's relatively the same size as them. And so if there are diehard fans, go interview them and ask them why they travel that far. Like what is it about that team that makes them want to give up X many hours of their evening? So find the dynamic from more than just the obvious points.
Sure.
And and more than just like the highlights of, I mean, obviously write the highlights of the game, but the game is more than just the score at the end. So that'd be my tip.
Yeah, and we actually had a ninja tip come in from JT, who says that Nikon Pro cameras like the D3 and the D4 can actually record audio clips. So if you don't have your phone in there, it's built in for journalists.
Fantastic.
Journalists, yeah. Boom, there you go. Dropping tips all around. See, this is the thing with ninja tips. They come in out of nowhere. That's just the way they come in. So, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Allie. This has been a great show and fantastic tips. I really love them. Yeah, they were great.
And if you guys haven't gotten the quick sheets, they're available and they'll be up on my blog afterwards. So you guys can grab those, and just if you have any questions, you can always shoot me an email. I love talking about it with you.
Awesome. And we'll make sure that we link out to your blog as well on here. Maybe Liz can do that. I think she may have already done that, but thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. It was great having you.
It's wonderful to be here.
Oh, thanks. And guys, make sure you join us next week. Next week we are talking Show It 5 and WordPress. Some really exciting things. Show It CEO Todd Watson is going to be with us again, which is his birthday again. Once again, happy birthday, Todd. We all love you here very much. And we look forward to seeing everybody again at WPPI and next week.
Sounds good.
All right. Bye, guys.